Someone inside of this room used to call me a drone pilot who never stepped in a foot inside of a plane. But I think that name will end up soon. So I'm a Tanzania Flying Lab coordinator, and I would like to share with you some of the activities that we have been doing for the past six months. Tanzania Flying Lab is available in one of the African country, which is called Tanzania, and Tanzania in fact is Zanzibar and Tanganyika is a union of two separate countries. And so far we are hosted in two separate places. One place is on the islands area and one place on the mainlands area. And I would like to start sharing with you from the first project that we did in Tanzania Flying Lab after the earthquake which has happened in Bukoba. And this images here is like what has been reported from some of the media, and then they try to use some of the images which is taken on the ground and try to tell people what the earthquake is. But in fact, they weren't able at all to say what were the damages had happened, what were the assets of the damage, or for example, what has been really damaged on that earthquake. And for that, in October 2016, it was the first time that we opened our Tanzania Flying Lab, and that was the first project that we had to do in Bukoba. And here is my colleague that was trained for the first time using the Cumulus one. Of course, we were able to use the other fixed-wing drone, but it was the first time that we saw the Cumulus one and a long-range drone that we used to map in Bukoba. And after that, this was the example of the results that we got from Bukoba. If we can see here, we have an image which is taken nearly from 2014. And it wasn't easy to find an updated imagery that at least can give us a picture of what happened maybe 1 year or maybe 6 months before. And from the drone images, we were able to detect like, these were the schools. So the study has to be closed up, student has to be split in another area, and then the school has to start doing reconstruction. And this was found only within our drone image that we did in Bukoba. And if we can take a look from here, that's another story of an importance of having an updated aerial data based on the location. We can find here, it was the same 2014. In this place there was nothing, no road which has been constructed and nothing. But from our drone image you can see there was so much construction which has happened. And then it was easy for us to understand, at least not in a statistical form, but at least in a visual form, to showing people this is what happened in Bukoba in an area which we took a picture. It's another story to the islands area, where we have tried to push a drone, and I'm not saying to the maximum limit, but at least. We have been trying to map a 2,300 kilometers square of an island using the fixed-wing drone. And this is the low-cost fixed-wing drone. I know some of us are aware that we have a long range that can stay maybe 2 hours on air, but we wanted to use the safer and low-cost drone in order to map our islands. And we have been using the regular EV on the earlier days in order for us to do the job. And also, as WeRobotics had a chance to contribute on the ongoing Zanzibar mapping initiatives by using the drone which we have used in Bukoba, because we knew it's fly longer and it is more, maybe it can stay a long time in air. And then we tried to map the big forest in Zanzibar by using this Cumulus one instead of using our small regular EB at that time. And I'm happy to say, now the green area that we are seeing, it has been already covered with a drone. And that is nearly 239 zone. And we have nearly now we're working hard in order to finalize the red area, which is the restricted area and the airport area which is ongoing discussion how we are going to finalize it just in terms of permission and everything. And in Pemba, the place which is a bit of hilly area, I'm happy that I met with Uttam and see how they are doing things in Nepal, so that if I go back now, I'll have a clear understanding of how we can finalize in Pemba, which is a bit hilly rather than in Abuja. And the other, a nice story in Tanzania Flying Lab, I met one time a student who had nowhere to go. And he's, in fact, in a dissertation that do the comparison between the digital terrain model from the normal survey and using the aerial survey. And then when I met this guy, I know he cannot afford to do it and everything. So I talked to my HQ and everything, and we helped the guy to have the data on the area of the study within their universities. And the good thing, when I went there, I met the other goals that he's doing an earthquake damage assessment based on the aerial image that we did in Bukoba. So now she is doing a statistical study on what has been damaged in Bukoba, and for us it was just like, okay, this is a visual study of what has been damaged in Bukoba. Community engagement has been a good thing to us. We had a lot of time talking to our community regarding this robotics. In fact, our community has a different perspective of this robotic solution, and then everyone was thinking like it's not a good tool to use. For example, most of them, they have never seen the stuff like that, and the most impression that they have is something like a bombing. That is what they believe in. So during the time which we need to be in the fields, we had to take some time teaching the students as well that, okay, this is safe, this is how it's worked, in order to remove the false mindset that they had that this is not something good. And also we had to share with the kids. Myself, now I'm not including as a future, I'm including these kids here as a future of this robotics. That's why I'm so interested whenever I'm in the fields to have some kind of a slice time explaining to anyone who we are meeting. Trainings, we had one training, and this training, it was like 60 applicants from different parts of the world, but mainly inside of the regional area from Zambia, Kenya, Uganda. And at the end, because we wanted to have a hands-on training, everyone should understand how things is working, we had to select only 10 participants based on those 60 in order to make it more, at least, efficiently. And then we are still planning to have more trainings, even if to go outside of Tanzania, but in terms of as a Tanzania Flying Lab to provide this training in order to make this technology foster in different parts of the country. We had a bit of challenge on the repairing of this drone, but as one goal of it, of this flying lab of WeRobotics is to have a space inside of these flying labs in order to do some kind of repairing. In fact, what we had to do is like whenever we had a problem with our EB from SenseFly, most of the time someone has to come in. Thanks to James who spent a week in Zanzibar, making them sick at last before he went back home. But sometimes we had to shift back the drones to their manufacturer, to SenseFly. And then it was easy to shift, but then it is hard to bring it back. And then you have some delays. And then so we are me, for example, to say for these manufacturers to provide at least some kind of certification and training to say, okay, to this amount of level you can repair your drone and it's fine to be repaired here, and to this one, no way, we have to send it back. So at least we can reduce the time of doing some repairing of the drones and making the work going so fast. Still, based on what we have been doing, there are some kind of emerging needs that's happened in Zanzibar as well. So far we have been mapping with a non-multispectral camera, so it's on the RGB to do like a management part. But now we have a call from Department of Forestry in Zanzibar that they really want to see how this technology can help in doing a mangrove monitoring. As what we all know, a mangrove is more important on the island area in order to preserve the environment and everything. But also, We have agricultural mapping, which we're still thinking of doing it, and our aim is to train one of the institutes that is really working on the agriculture in Zanzibar, so that we can enable students whenever they are going out. We can have what is so-called today a precise farming, which is not available yet in our country. And in Tanzania now I think you are aware that our president is pushing it a lot to say we need to shift to Dodoma, where the new capital is. But still, we don't have a clear mapping of what we can do in Dodoma. So one of the Commission of Science and Technology in COSTECH trying to request to us how we can help to map the area so that they can have a clear picture of what they can construct and what they can do in different parts of the Dodoma. And also, we have some calls from some small business companies that they are doing like to identify the geological features, and then they are really asking us a lot how we can help them in order to do an aerial area of the area that they are interested on best. And thank you.